Welcome to the Parody, where we tally up the victims in our favorite movies. I'm Chelsea Rose, and today we're looking at The Renegade, released in 2015. The Renegade serves an important part in the main Time Hero cinematic universe, being the very first film to come out. But in that regard, I guess I should say first canon film to come out. Cause you gotta remember, this is 2015, when they were coming out the previous Time Hero cinematic universe has been deemed non-canon. It serves as a direct remake of Hyper Blue, which had come out only 2 years prior. What I appreciate is that they kinda kept the outline generally the same, while opening up new experiences for the characters. It also serves as the introduction to the main antagonist of this canon universe, Phantom. Crazy to consider that Phantom was only an addition in this remake. He wasn't in the original Hyper Blue nor the original universe, which ended off with a 4-hour-long film called Nightfall. Revolving around the main dog jail industry's Jeremy Lewis, it follows him as he conducts some specific scientific experiments. That specific experiment being a test for his transfuser device that goes horribly wrong. It turns him into Hyper Blue, and now he has to find a way to redeem himself. Since it is a remake of Hyper Blue, I will say it is better than that film in basically every way. Since it was made 2 years later, there's obviously a lot more polish and effort going on here, and I can appreciate that. However, since the tone of the new cinematic universe is more grounded, it takes the campiness of earlier Roblox films and just kind of throws it away. But also, on that note, it's probably my least favorite of the canon cinematic universe. It is a good stepping stone for the Injustice duology, but this is basically all it serves as. Not to mention the overuse of green screen sucks so much ass, dude. However, since it also takes place at the same time as Blind Justice, it could've also worked better as a character study of Jeremy Lewis. He's definitely focused on more in the Injustice duology, where he's not even the solo main character. However, aside from that, I'd still say The Renegade is a solid 6 out of 10, and plus, it's probably the deadliest film of the Blind Justice arc. How deadly was it? Let's find out and get to the kills. The movie begins with an instant character dump of Jeremy Lewis, who's in here for some ridiculous crimes. His buddy Frank finds him in this prison that's been abandoned for the past 30 years, much to the dismay of Jeremy, who just wants a life sentence, goddammit. Frank wants him to get out, but Jeremy just wants them to fuck right off. Yeah, Frank, go fuck off past those barrels in this title card! 3 weeks earlier, a normal Jeremy Lewis is speaking about the Cincinnati invasion that we'll see play out in the Dark Knight Apocalypse. But since that hasn't come out yet, we gotta reuse footage from Nightfall. Jeremy Lewis is here to save both the world and us from watching that Time Heroes. Right as he exits the speech, he's interrupted by a bunch of news reporters that want a quick interview with him. One interviewer named Cassie Green gets told by Jeremy that he'll come up with something to alleviate the effects of the Crimson invasion. However, during that, I guess Jeremy was more so thinking about Crimson invading her DMs, if you know what I mean. Oh damn, more like Crimson invaded her sheets! Holy shit, dude! Oh boy, I can't wait to see what Jeremy Lewis just tweeted. Oh, okay. He got too busy unleashing his inferno, so he forgot about something that was happening that day. When he gets to the headquarters, he talks about having a traffic problem. Yeah, traffic problem like your penis! What he got in such a hurry to get to was a presentation about something he was cooking up behind the scenes. Turns out it's these Super Trooper guys that the camera has a real problem getting a focus on. They do a first round of tests, and it's really hard to tell what's going on based on whatever the hell we see. However, since Cassie tells us they're just holograms and not actually real, I would be putting them on account. The exact genetic breakdown of it is a little confusing, but they're able to duplicate some cells and genetic systems of their subjects and bond them with the humans. That previous test was just a warm-up. These three are gonna have to go through a much bigger wave of holograms. The first wave was a piece of cake, but they have a surprise coming in, a hologram of Crimson himself. After doing this weird shit, he's quickly taken care of and the test is complete. That calls for a bunch of alcohol and Jason Stone? Damn, did they just have the old Jason and Clarity models just sitting around? Jeremy's just taken in the view of the sky, and he's joined in by his bastardist friend, Emilio Barnum. The conversation quickly gets based around business, where Emilio tells him that he can't miss the deadline, even though there's an overheating problem. But if he can't figure out anything by then, someone else is gonna have to take over. His concepts take him into multiple profane nights with Cassie. She thinks that's just kind of bogus because, well, maybe a few nights ago in this canon universe, some hooded guy was all it took. Who she's referring to is Batman. No, I'm just kidding. She's referring to Danny Parker, aka the Dark Knight. The comments steer him into another layer where he talks about a guy named Frank and a device named the Transfuser. The next day, he visits Frank and talks about the Dark Knight himself. Jeremy's decided that using suits is dumb, but Frank has doubts that the Transfuser will be an actual success on him. Well, I mean, Jeremy's the only option they have for a test subject, because other subjects would usually take a few days to get in. They get him half naked, but decide to shock him gradually all at once instead of the normal 2 weeks it would take. While Jeremy did fully sign up for it, he was a bit hesitant before it started, and now it's obvious why. It kinda hurts. And then it really starts to hurt once it starts trying to fry him and, breaking the window, I guess. It turns him electrical and blue, signifying that we're in the era of hyper blue. Why not also start the era off with an explosion that's revealed to have killed 6 of the scientists? That's not the amount of bodies that we see, but the subtitle said there's a 6th one there, so I don't know what else to do. The guards come in and wonder what he actually is, but he accidentally kills all those guys too. What the fuck, dude? All this mayhem leads Jeremy to believe that Frank sabotaged it in order for, all this shit to happen. But before he could do anything, he's shot out the window and into the water below. He walks onto a street where people correctly guess who he is based on one glance. But Jeremy steps into some water and is shocked to scare all of them away, sure. He then somehow finds himself in a place with a light at the end of the tunnel. Or the top of a building, who knows. Emilio later holds a televised press conference where he's in the dark about everything. It's not until we get to another scene with Frank where we find out more stuff about the incident. Since the transfuser is a two-way system, something else had to have been in the other capsule, but whatever it was has since escaped ever since the incident ended. And good for all of us, they got it on security camera. It's just black smoke. Speaking of smoke, here's a reminder that Blind Justice and the Renegade take place at the same time. Back to Jeremy, we see him express genuine remorse at what happened back in the lab. But even in the upcoming world of hate, there's one person who will believe him. Cassie, who we see in this weird-ass underwater, vision. Later that day, he goes into Cassie's apartment to tell her what happened. However, I think he'd probably just be explaining it through his own perspective and not whatever the news is probably telling her. Although, yeah, maybe he'd be doing it to do the former, I don't know. In whatever case, as soon as he gets in there, he starts accidentally frying her. Oh my god, dude! In fact, as we learned about in Blind Justice, she gets fried to death here. God damn, this is a ridiculous movie. When day strikes, Diana reports that they finally found Jeremy and that Miller has a squad to take him down. Sure enough, we see exactly that, and this gives Jeremy an excuse to try out a bit more of his powers. And what better way to do so than with a power blast that blows up one car? Also, I'll just assume that the SWAT officers are doubling up in these guys. This very intense looking guy and a few other SWAT officers follow Jeremy atop a bunch of roofs. Frank doesn't want them to kill Jeremy, but Private Miller kinda has a point by saying he's killed 15 people in this week. However, unlike last time, I'm not gonna add 15 people to the count because the kill count by this point in the movie actually adds up to 15. So he's actually pretty much correct here. They corner Jeremy until he just bolts away all their guns. He jumps off that roof only to be cornered by 10 more SWAT officers. He tries to fly away only to fly out a big burst of energy that kills all 10 of them. The shot kinda goes on for way too long, but it's the best shot in the movie, so it evens out. Still genuinely remorseful for his actions at this point, he surrenders to the SWAT officers that swarm in on him. He's later held on a cell where his friend Frank comes in to check on him. Apparently, Jeremy's powers give him the ability to survive off of, free will? Also off of free hate because he starts lashing out at Frank for making him like this. He tries apologizing to the Blue Wonder, but the damage is already done. His mind almost goes to murder, but he lets go of it to reminisce on what life could have been if that one miscalculation hadn't happened. Frank ends up being a little too sentimental for Jeremy, which is ironic considering Frank put an alien corpse in that other capsule. Yo, Jeremy, I'm watching the stream. Why are you trying not to laugh, bro? That's disrespectful as shit. With that other reveal out of the way, we get the biggest reveal of the movie. The fact that Phantom is what was in that other capsule. Phantom, for basically the entire franchise, is played by Jose Ryan 56, who directed Hostage, Crisis, and Rattle Part 1. Some of the best THCU movies. This scene doesn't really tell us anything else outside of Phantom's origins, but Phantom does get to tell Jeremy that maybe he can unleash a little bit of his more monstrous side. In another meeting, to tell Amelia that Jeremy's still trapped in that cell. They don't know where Phantom went. It's at this point that Frank owns up to basically screwing over the entire operation. Intercut is another scene where some guards break into Jeremy's big-ass cell, only to figure out that he's escaped through the wall. Emilio and Frank get into a heated argument, only to be interrupted by Diana figuring out about Jeremy's escape. He's escaped to another talk with Phantom, not caring anymore about what's going on around him. For Phantom, it's like an ironic tragedy, considering his feelings are shared by Jeremy, who is in the other capsule, as is both the result of ignorance. But even with that core concept, Jeremy can't think of a reason as to why they're both like this right now. Don't worry, Jeremy, you'll think of one soon. In prison! Yeah, because apparently the movie just cuts back to the beginning, for like no reason at all. But I guess that also circles back to how Jeremy feels right now. No reason as to why everything had to end up the way it did. We also get the aftermath to the opening scene, where Frank tells whoever he's calling to leave Jeremy alone. And I guess somewhere in the background, Miller and Diana have been assembling a team to take care of Phantom. I don't know why the movie decided to skip ahead after Jeremy and Phantom's talk over that, water feature. That's kind of one of my main issues with the movie. It feels like it's speed running through way too many things. Like, why were we all of a sudden here? We could have, at the very least, seen Jeremy fly into that prison and stuff. Also, outside the main upload of the movie itself, YouTube says this movie is 80 minutes long, even though, by all accounts, it's 75 minutes. I don't know what happened to the other 5 minutes. Did they just, go for a drink? Miller and Diana put on the mech suits from the beginning of the movie, while Frank's able to see what sort of havoc Phantom is causing. Turns out it's havoc that causes 3 people to turn into skeletons. Normally, I wouldn't count this, but since we just saw it happen, I'm obliged to put them on the count. Who I can without question put on the count are these 6 residents that get caught up in Phantom's shitty Phantom tornado. I'm not counting the very first close-up guy we see because it seems like he might have got out of there just in time. Even though this is the first film by release date, the cinematic universe is already killing a baby. And I guess his mother too. Diane and Miller waited until all the kills were over to finally get into the area. Well, actually, that was a lie because I have to add 2 more bodies that we see. A lot of soldiers come in to get a piece of the action, but Phantom doesn't even see them as an obstacle. He instead uses it as an opportunity to make everything purple and kill all 17 soldiers in front of him. And do the stupid-ass running thing because I guess he sucks at player versus player combat. Fucking pussy. Miller uses bad green screen effects to fight Phantom, but it quickly backfires on him. Wait, did Miller go to the Adam Sandler School of Green Screening? Wait, considering the quality of the effects in a helicopter earlier, I think he did. Those effects are so fucking bad, dude. Holy shit. Anyways, with Miller beaten to near death, Phantom has to blow up a fire truck. Diana doesn't like senseless destruction of property, so now it's her turn to battle Phantom. It goes just as well as you would expect. Frank gets into town and sees a bunch of civilians run away. I'm not gonna put them on the count. Jeremy's the final person to battle Phantom, and it's a long time coming for him. If a long time coming means about like a month. And he knows it's gonna be a good battle when the first thing is this. What the fuck was that? Play that shit again. That was absolute gold. The way he falls and then the explosion. Oh my god, that is the best part of the movie. Jeremy goes in to make another attack, but it quickly fails, like, again. Frank sees a flashing light show as Jeremy and Phantom go way up into the sky. Jeremy tells Phantom to shut the fuck up as he sends him right down into the road. It makes a big crater in the center of the city, which would later be labeled as Ground Zero. Phantom tells Jeremy about the makings of a real hero and how he doesn't really fit all that criteria. Frank pops in to see what's up, and it gives Phantom the opportunity to give Jeremy a dark choice. Say Frank can die doing so, becoming a hero, or killing Frank to become a monster, just like Phantom. Sadly, he chooses the latter, electrocuting Frank to death in front of Phantom. I don't know how I missed this kill, like, so many times, but that's the way the movie ends, with a lot of uncertainty about how the future for Ann Arbor is going to go. What do the amount of kills in this movie match up with the amount of bad green screens? Let's find out and get to the numbers. Dude, what's with all this purple smoke? What's with all this purple smoke, Phantom? Fuck! God damn it, man! God damn it, man. By my count, there were 56 kills in Renegade. The victims consisted of 47 men, 3 women, and 6 unknown Ann Arbor bodies, giving us this hyperblue chart. As for how this stacks up with the rest of the arc, it actually has the highest kill count, although that's only by 2 kills. Still, way to step it up, dude. Also, since only 2 characters are responsible for the kills in this movie, Phantom had 30 while Jeremy had 26. And we have seen 56 kills twice before on the parody, including recently in Deadpool vs. Peter Griffin. With a runtime of 75 minutes, that left us with a kill on average every 1.34 minutes. I'll give Amethyst Flamethrower to Cassie Green, and to be honest, I can't really tell you why. I'll give Broken Pistol to any of the non-burning or non-scaly bodies in Ann Arbor. Like, take a pick. Come on. And that's it. The Renegade was released in 2015 and kickstarted the main Time Hero cinematic universe. However, it also serves as the bookend to 2025 on the parody. I know it wasn't as active as previous years, but I had a lot of fun making the parodies I did. Next year we'll only have 8 parodies, and I'll tell you why in a bit. But until then, I'm Chelsea Rose, and this has been The Parody. Thanks a lot for watching this parody, and, well, all the parodies I released in 2025, prior to the channel move or not. Well, yeah, here's the thing. 2026 will only have 8 released parodies, and, well, that's because the parody as a whole is gonna end next year. I kind of been burnt out of doing the parody, like, you couldn't already tell in 2025. Well, I also had other, like, personal stuff going on in 2025, but, like, towards the end of the year, I kind of realized that, yeah, I guess it really was running out of steam. I have posted what all 8 parodies next year are going to be, and the first one of those will release on January 1st with the entire BFB season, so thanks for watching during 2025.